Today we are holding by Utzdaka Kenachal Eis on page Kuf Samahalef, opposite of page 320. A new Perik. Utzdaka. Yeah, so we had Kuntres Acharon. So we had 5 prakim was deep Kabbalah. Then we had one Perik, which we just finished learning last week, David's Midas Karslahu, which wasn't a letter. It appears that was just something that Alter Rebbe wrote. And now the last 3 segments of Tanya, Utzdaka Kenachal Eisan, and the next one, Leiteva Shmua, and then Hacheach Tichiach. These are all, again, letters from the Alter Rebbe. And this letter is on a topic that we're all familiar with. The topic is tzedakah. We've had many letters on tzedakah, and here's another letter about tzedakah. This is the last letter about tzedakah. Now, we know. Sorry?
Taken out from a letter, from a piece? Is it,
yeah, that's some letter. Now.
Yeah.
Same thing in the Yersakeh, there's most of them. Yeah. So, you guys know why the Alter Rebbe you already know why the Alter Rebbe wrote so many letters about tzedakah, because the Alter Rebbe was collecting money for the people in Eretz Yisrael, right? And every single year, just give me 1 second, hold it open here. No. And every single year, the Alter Rebbe would write a letter to the Chassidim, asking them to donate. But this letter, which we're talking about right now, look at that. We have the Haman Tashin already. So, every year the Alter Rebbe would write a letter. This letter, though, is not about tzedakah for Eretz Yisrael. So, although in the part of the letter which is discussed over here in the Tanya, it doesn't state what the cause of this, the purpose of the tzedakah was, but this letter, the part that we have in Tanya is excerpted from the larger letter. The larger letter, which is printed in the Igros Kodesh of the Alter Rebbe, the Sefer of all the letters of the Alter Rebbe. So this letter was written in the summer of the year 1798, which were just for the sake of context. So this is Tav Kuf Nun Ches, and on Simchas Torah, the day after Simchas Torah of Tav Kuf Nun Tes, in other words, a few months later, that's when Alter Rebbe was arrested and put into prison, and he was released on Yutes Kislev of Tav Kuf Nun Tes. So this is shortly before the Alter Rebbe was imprisoned, and the Alter Rebbe wrote a letter to the Chassidim, and he's saying that Yom Tov is coming, and there's going to be a lot of guests coming to him in the Yajna, and it cost a lot of money. So they had a kitchen over there where they provided food for all the guests, and Alter Rebbe says, moreover, that some of it's not enough. A lot of them were poor, so they also had to provide Seder Laderech, that when they left, they had to provide them with food for the entire journey back. And Alter Rebbe says there also that back in those days, I don't know if this was something which was unique to Yidden or to everyone, in order to travel legally, you had to have papers to travel, and these papers costed money. In order to travel in Russia from city to city, you had to have papers, travel papers. Oh, yeah. And those papers costed money. And a lot of Chassidim didn't have the money, so the Alter Rebbe also was paying for those papers. So B'kitzur, a lot of guests, a lot of money. So Alter Rebbe made a fundraiser to raise money for this. So he wrote this letter, which we're going to learn now, and he sent it off with a chassid who's at least in Chabad, he's a famous chassid. His name was Rabbi Shmuel Munkes. And Rabbi Shmuel Munkes was the one who took this letter, and the Alter Rebbe, along with this letter, the Alter Rebbe gave him a list of chassidim, and next to every name, the Alter Rebbe put a number. And that was the amount of money the person was expected to give towards this cause. Yeah, not very democratic. Okay, so that was the purpose of this letter, raising tzedakah again for the soup kitchen in Liyajna. And let's do this inside. We'll start inside. Again, page Kuf Samachalaf, opposite of page 320. And the Alter Rebbe begins with a pasuk from Amos, Utzdaka Kenachal Eisam. Tzedakah like a mighty river. So what's the context over there? And Amos over there, so the Navi over there is reprimanding the Jewish people, and he's telling them that they should shape up. And one of the things that he tells them is that what Hashem expects of them is that it should be tzedakah, that the tzedakah that they give should be kenachal esam, should be like a mighty river or mighty stream. And we can understand the analogy. Just like sometimes you have a little stream, and it's not very powerful. And depending on the weather conditions, sometimes it's a little, and sometimes it's a lot, and sometimes it dries up entirely. And then you have a powerful river, a powerful stream, it never dries up, and it's always going at full strength. And that's what Hashem is expecting of Hashem is expecting of the Yidden is that tzedakah, that when we give tzedakah, it shouldn't be today a little, and tomorrow some more, and then maybe the next week in Gansenat, but rather it should be like a powerful stream that's always gushing with water. So that's the Pashut Pshat. But those of you who are familiar with Chassidus know already we're not going to be satisfied with that. I mean, if you want to use a metaphor, there are many metaphors you can use. Or you can say, Hashem says, give tzedakah a lot, plenty and often. What is the connection? What is the more substantive connection between tzedakah and nachal esan? And that's what the Alter Rebbe is going to explain over here in this siman. So the first thing, we're going to do a little outside and then we'll do it inside. The Rebbe notes, the word esan means strength, powerful. In Yiddish, for those who are following, esan is hart und stark, something which is hard and strong, tough. So for some reason, we're trying to get a nachal from esan. We're trying to get a stream from esan, whatever that means. But just another interesting idea about the word esan. The word esan is made up of 4 letters: Aleph, Yud, Taf, and Nun. And what is unique about these 4 letters?
Name of Avraham Avinu.
The name of Avraham Avinu.
It's Eitan.
Esan Ezrachi.
One of them, yeah.
But what is unique about these 4 letters?
Aleph, Yud, Taf, Nun.
It's a dicta question.
Strong. Eitan is strong.
I'm asking you, what is unique about these 4 letters? The Aleph, the Yud, the Nun, and the Taf. The Taf and the Nun. So, we know that in Hebrew, you have a shayrish. You have the shayrish of a word. And then when you add letters before or after, so that changes, not the meaning of the word, the shayrish remains the same, but the tense, like who's doing it, when's it happening, how is it happening? So let's say you have the word, what are we doing here now? We're learning now, right? Okay, so the Hebrew word for learning, the shayrish is? Lamed Mem Daled. Very good, okay. Now if I put an Aleph before then, Elmad, what does that mean?
I will learn.
Elamed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Or I will teach.
Now, what if I take a Yud and put it before it? Yilmoid?
It's He Yilmod.
He will learn, right? If I put a Taf beforehand, Tilmoid?
You will learn.
You should learn, or you will learn, or she will learn,
She Tilmedi.
right? What if I put a Nun at the beginning of it? Nilmoid?
Together. Pure.
We will learn, right? So what did you notice about all 4 of these letters? That all 4 of them imply they take a word and turn it to something that will happen in the future. Elmad, I will learn in the future.
Yilmad. Who Yilmad?
Yilmad, he will learn.
Tilmad. She will.
Tilmad, she will learn, or you should learn.
Nilmod.
And Nilmad is we will learn. But it's all talking about something that will happen in the future.
Right.
Right? That's the same as every single word. So we're sitting in the month of Adar when he's supposed to be B'Simcha, right? Esmach, I'll be happy. Yismach, he'll be happy. Tismach, she'll be happy, or you should be happy. Nismach will be happy. Okay, so the letters of the word Esan imply something that will happen in the future.
How?
Sorry?
How would that imply something in the future?
Because each one of these 4 letters take any word and turn them into a future tense.
Future tense, right?
So therefore, the word Esan obviously is connected to something which is futuristic. And what are we saying over here? We're saying that the word Esan means the strength of the neshama. Esan means something which is powerful, strong, mighty, strong, tough. What is that? This is what we're talking about, is the Pintel Yid. The Pintel Yid, the very essence of the neshama, is the most mighty and powerful thing that there is. And we talk about, obviously right now, Klal Yisrael is going through a difficult time. In Eretz Yisrael, we're at Matzav of Milchama. And this has been our situation for 2,000 years now. And why are we still around? Because of the Esan. Because the Yiddish neshama, anyone else, any other nation, any other culture, any other people, long ago, they would have been gone. But there's the Esan, there's that strength, there's that Etzem and neshama, which desires a connection to Hashem. It desires a connection to Hashem through learning Torah, through doing mitzvahs, and it's the strongest and most powerful thing that there is. However, as we know, that even though every single Yid has this Eson, but not always is it revealed. And that's why sometimes we do things that are inappropriate. We're not always doing the mitzvahs, not always learning Torah, not always expressing our connection to Hashem, because it's hidden sometimes. When will it be revealed by everyone? When will the Eson be revealed? When Mashiach comes. Mashiach comes, and that's when the essence of the neshama of every single Yid will be fully revealed. Aha. So now we're seeing a connection. That Eson is a word that implies the future. All 4 letters that imply the future. And Eson is the Eson Sheba Neshama, that essence of the Neshama. What's the connection between these 2 ideas? That essential connection, the Eson part of the Neshama, when will it be revealed fully?
In the future.
In the future when Mashiach comes.
Nice.
By the way, interestingly, so we're sitting over here for quite a few years already, and we're learning every week. What are we learning?
Tanya.
Tanya. No? Tanya. What are the 4 letters of the word Tanya?
Afternoon, you die. Same thing.
The same letters as Eson.
Perhaps.
Which is very interesting, because we know even the Alter Rebbe didn't intend that the name of the Sefer should be Tanya. We know that he called it Sefer Shal Beidinim or Lakuti Amarim. Those are the 2 names that he gave it. But the bottom line is it's called Tanya. And why is it called Tanya? Because the first word in the Sefer is called Tanya. Now what's interesting is that the fact that the first word in Tanya is called Tanya is in itself a little of a puzzling thing.
Mysterious.
Why is that? What does the word Tanya mean?
We learned in the
We learned in a Braisa, right? We learned in a Braisa. Now, Tanan means we learned in a Mishnah,
Mishnah Tanya is nice.
and Tanya means we learned in a Braisa. So the Tanya begins with the words. What's up, Rabbi? Just for the sake of maybe those who aren't familiar, right? We know that Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, he had to compile. He compiled the Mishnah. But when he compiled the Mishnah, he had 600. He had 600 different Siddharim from which to compile. And he had to take those 600 Siddharim and to whittle it down to 6, what we have today. And that left us with a lot of, as they say, they say on the cutting board, on the floor of the cutting room. What do they say when you edit? Well, it's an expression, a metaphor. I know I'm an editor by trade. That's what I do. That's my day job when I'm not busy teaching Tanya over here in Flatbush. And a lot of times you get a long thing and you have to cut it down mercilessly, right? Cut. So the Rabbi Nasi also, he cut out a lot. A lot of what he cut out became known as brises. And what does the word brise mean? Left out. So the word brise means it's on the outside.
Bara, in Arabic, bara is outside.
That's what I'm saying.
It's baraita. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That which was left outside. So Tanan, the more authoritative, is a Mishnah. Tanya is a Braisa, but it's also pretty authoritative. Now, Tanya begins, this Sefer begins with Tanya. We learned in the Braisa, Now the problem is that if you look in the Gemara, in Mesechtas Nida, it says there, Dorash Rab Simloi. Dorash, it doesn't say Tanya, it says Dorash Rab Simloi. That thing which the Alter Rebbe says is a Braisa, it seems it's a drasha from Rabbi Simloi, who was an Amayra. So how are we saying Tanya? So there are technical answers that are given how it's still shaykh to call it Tanya. But by Chassidim they say that the Alter Rebbe specifically, he wanted to start the Tanya with the word Tanya. Why? Because Tanya is the same letters as the word Eson. And what is the job of, what is the purpose of Tanya? To allow us to access and reveal the Eson of our neshama. And that's why he wanted to start with the word Tanya, to allude to that idea on the very first letter, the very first word of the Sefer. Okay, that was a little bit of introduction, and now and obviously we still don't understand the connection to tzedakah, and we still don't understand what tzedakah kenachal eson. We know what eson is. What is the nachal? What is the river? And what is the connection to tzedakah? Let's look inside. What does that have to do with what we're talking? What does that have to do with tzedakah? What does that have to do with the eson sheb and neshama? Okay, Which taka kanachal esan, and it's a pasuk ba'amos seif simin hey. Amos and the perike. Pirush, what does it mean? K'meish nachal esan, just like, what is nachal esan? Nachal esan means a stream, a river that emerges from, that comes from Esan. Hamshacha hanemsheches bebechinis Esan. So Nachal Esan is the Hamshacha, is the energy that comes from Esan, the river that emerges from Esan. Shehi bechinis nekuda behechla, which is, this is the idea of the dot in the chamber, utrein rein v'chulu, and the two friends that never separate from each other.
Two what?
Two friends, trein rein.
Rein.
Yeah.
Rein v'chulu.
Okay, so we have here the dot in the chamber and the two friends, and this sounds like Greek. And I'm surprised Sheldon isn't already looking in the Rosh Hashanah in the back to see if he can figure out what this means.
No, I see the thing.
Oh, it's not saying it's not a Rosh Hashanah, so there's nothing more to look there.
That's right.
So the bottom line is, it sounds, but it's just a matter of understanding the lingo. Once you understand the lingo, it makes perfect sense. It's like, certain things we talk about. We say, let's say, talk about Murphy's Law. So if you're talking to someone who's not familiar with the English culture, American culture, it's like Murphy's Law. Who's the Murphy and what law are you talking about? And if you say, oh, that store, it's open 24/7. 24/7. What's that? Is that the phone number, the zip code? What's that? Right? The same thing. Kabbalah also, it has its own language. We have to understand it. Once you understand it, it makes a lot of sense. So let's move away for a second from Esan. We're actually not moving away, but let's talk about something else, and we'll return to Esan. Something that we've spoken about many times in our journey through Tanya, and that is that we have the very first two attributes, the way it is by Hashem, and the way it is also within our own neshamas, our chachma and bina. Bina is understanding, is processing. But what do I understand? What do I process? That's the chachma. The chachma is something which comes from very deep inside me. And bina is my mental processing of it. But chachma doesn't make sense. Chachma is really higher than seichel. Chachma doesn't make sense. Chachma is something which is higher than seichel. Chachma is something which is essential. Bina is where seichel begins, the processing. Although we've talked about this in the past. Talked about how if I understand something, it's not me. I understand this, Tanya. Is it me? I understand it. You understand it also, right? So, is it me? Is it you? No, it's neither me nor you. It's something outside of me and something outside of you and something which I understand. And you understand also, but it's not me. But what if, instead of teaching you the Tanya today, I'm going to come and I'm going to tell you guys, I want you to know that I have a son, and I love my son very much. So today, I'm going to teach you that love. Okay, and by the time we finish class, you'll all love my son as much as I love my son. Why is it not going to work?
It's an emotion.
Because the love that you have, you cannot express.
You can't
it
convey
like
that. You can't convey that
convey
emotion
it.
to nobody.
Sure I could.
How?
And I could talk about it. Could I understand it? I process it in my mind.
You convey it, but you can't transfer it.
Why? You know why? Because it's me. It's not you. I could teach you an idea because the idea isn't me in the first place. The idea is something that was taught to me or something I figured out. So I could teach it to you also. My love for my son is me. Can't teach you me.
So how do you define me? What is the me?
Me is something which originates in me, as opposed to something which is there for a reason, or something which I have a reason for I want it, but it's not something essentially to me. So there is that initial chachma. Again, chachma is that original part of the soul. And by the way, what we're finding out is chachma is actually associated with Esan. Chachma is the Esa of the Neshama is the Chachma of the Neshama. For those of you who recall, when we learned earlier on in Tanya, we learned in chapter 19, we're talking there about the fact that a Yid goes on Mesiras Nefesh Al Kiddush Hashem. The Rebbe says over there, why is that? That's because of the Chachma. That comes from Chachma. So Chachma is this essential part of the soul. And it's a Nakuda. It's a Nakuda. Nakuda means it doesn't take up, it's a dot. It doesn't have dimensions. When I understand something, when I process something, then suddenly it has length and breadth and height, right? I build something logical out of it. Chachma really transcends dimensions. It's a dot, it's a point. It's something which emerges from very deep in the soul. And then, that is the Nakuda, but then it enters the Heichel, it enters the chamber. What is the chamber? The chamber is Bina. Bina is the processing. When I take those deep things from inside myself, when I process it intellectually, I process it emotionally. That's the role of Bina. And what we need is, these are the Trein Rei, and these are the two friends that never, this is Kabbalistic language. When Kabbalah talks about Chachma Bina, it talks about the two friends who never separate from each other. Because Chachma and Bina are very intimate with each other. That when I experience something, a deep something that emerges from deep within myself, immediately, right away, I catch it and I process it. And that's Bina. So Chachma and Bina are always operating in tandem with each other. That's the Trein Rein. And the letters of the word Esan, the 4 letters of the word Esan, Aleph, Yud, Taf, Nun, Misham, Sheis, La'asid. As we said, these are letters that imply something that happens in the future. Pirush meaning, Ana Osid Li Isgalia. I am the one who in the future will be revealed. So the Esan of the Neshama, the Chachma of the Neshama, this essence of the Neshama will be revealed when Mashiach comes. Mashiach, as the pasuk says, Hine Yaskil Avdi V'Gomer. This is a pasuk that talks about Melech HaMashiach. And it says that that my servant Yaskil. So Yaskil means what? On a simple level, it means he'll be wise.
Enlightened.
What?
Enlightened.
Why enlightened?
Because he's learning something new. So
But why are you translating Yaskil as enlightened?
Yaskil Seichel.
Yeah, Seichel.
Yeah, but he's enlightened, meaning that he's learning something new.
Okay, I just still think it's a little interesting translation for the word Yaskil, to be enlightened. The word Yaskil means to be wise. It's Moshe Seichel, to be intelligent. Yeah.
You're right, and you're right.
Now, someone who's wise is enlightened, but that's right.
It's like an adjective.
What?
It's like an adjective to Yaskil.
Okay, we'll work with it. But the word Yaskil, when you put a yud before a letter, it can also have the implication of someone who causes something else to happen. A yud before a letter, right? Like what do we have in the Shir Shai Kippur? Ya'amid ba'mishpat. What does Ya'amid ba'mishpat mean?
Stand in judgment.
No. That's Ya'amoid ba'mishpat. What is Ya'amid ba'mishpat?
The right? No.
He causes others to stand in judgment.
Of course, it's right.
Right?
Who's the HaKadosh Baruch Hu?
Yeah. So a yud can have the implication of causing someone else to do something.
Yeah.
So Yaskil can mean the one that causes Seichel. So when we're talking about Mashiach, we're talking about the one who causes Seichel. If Seichel is Bina, the one that causes the Seichel is Chachma. So Yaskil means that Mashiach, or when Mashiach comes at the level of Yaskil, the level which causes Seichel, which is the level of Chachma. That then when Mashiach comes, will be revealed the infinite light of Hashem, and Hashem's unity, and that will be revealed within the inner core of the heart. And how is that? We'll draw down a river from Esan. We're drawing down from Chachma. Because Chachma, Esan of the Neshama is Chachma. And we cause that strength, that inner strength that of the core of the Neshama should illuminate in the heart, that a person should become batal to Hashem's unity, betachlis, completely batal, Me'umka deliber from the depths of the heart. Achri hasaras ha'orla mitayvis agashmiyis v'chulu, after the removal of the orla, which is tayvis gashmiyis, etc. So this is something that Alter Rebbe spoke about at length in chapter 4 of Igeres HaKodesh, where there the Alter Rebbe talks about the inner meaning and understanding of what a bris is all about. Because there the Alter Rebbe points out that the pasuk says, when Mashiach comes, we think about bris milah today, but the ultimate bris milah is going to happen when Mashiach comes. What does the pasuk say? It says, "U'mal Hashem alikecha slavavcha v'slavav zarecha." So then we'll have ultimate milah. What does the milah mean? So there the Alter Rebbe talks about a very similar idea, which is milah is something which covers up. Right? The arla is something which covers up. We all have an arla in our heart. Why? Because the pnimius alev, which is the esan that we're talking about over here, the pnimius alev and the esan, unbelievable, right? They have no respect. Yeah, but you should.
Nice or something, man.
Yeah.
7 life, maybe.
Oh, okay, then they're excused.
Nice or something.
Maybe they're just going for a donut in 7-Eleven. So the pnimius alev of a yid.
So, man, what do you mean?
The way the Alter Rebbe explains, pnimius alev, which is connected to the Esa, is what you really want. What do you really want?
It's covered.
Sorry?
It's covered. The oral covers it. Time that you have to reveal.
Alter Rebbe explains there's pnimius alev, chitzenius alev. There's a lot of things. There's things. Pnimius alev is what I really desire. Chitzenius alev is what I don't really desire. I desire it for a reason. If I desire it for a reason, then it's not an essential desire. It's not pnimius alev. And pnimius alev, because something which I essentially desire, that desire is illogical. And I'll do illogical things also because of it. So, for example, going back to my example, I love my son, right? Is that logical? Is that a logical love?
No.
No. What's the proof that it's not logical?
You don't have to reason it. There's no reasoning behind it.
And if you were to
it's
come to me,
natural.
It's not illogical either. I mean, come on.
it could be. Think about it. Let's say you present me with another bacher. So let's say I have a son of 16. You come to me, you bring another 16-year-old bacher, and you say, "Take a look at this guy. So much better than your son. Learns better midas. His kibbutz avim is going to be amazing.
Take him.
Take him." Now, logically, that's a good argument. But it's the stupidest argument that there is. Why? Because Allah for a son is not logical. So if it's not logical, there's no logic, right? But let's say I want a car. Do I want a car? Yeah, I want a car. But let's say you can come to me and say, "You want a car? Okay, I get it. But do you know how much it's going to cost you in tickets? And you know how much it's going to cost you in
Gasoline.
and gas and insurance and maintenance and the lease payment? And by the way, they can take Ubers for a lot less, and even a bus or a train. You can walk a little. Exercise not going to kill you, right?" Okay, you know what? Okay.
You're right.
Why? Because my desire for a car is a logical desire. Why do I want a car? That's not essential. I don't essentially want a car. I want a car because
Convenient.
of convenience. But what if you explain to me that I can have the convenience otherwise? Or what if you explain to me the convenience isn't worth it? Because there are a lot of different, right? So I want it. So chitzenius alev are things that I want, but they're not essential. And therefore, most of the things that we want in life will be logical about them because they're not essential desires. Pnimius alev are those things that they're essential desires, and therefore we do not approach them logically. And in life, everyone has certain things. Not everyone, but there are certain things which are, which all human beings have in common. Certain desires, which may not be logical, by the way. People want to get married. Tell me that's logical.
No.
It's logical to want to get married? Sounds so.
I think yes.
Why?
This way you continue the generation. It's a logic. If you don't get married, you will not continue the
So
generation.
first of all, I'll have a talk with you after class, but you don't have to get married to continue generations.
Legally, you're married, not illegally.
That's number one.
Or you live with someone and you have a child.
And number two,
I didn't expect you to say that. That's terrible.
saying is that's why you want to get married. And number two, that's why you have to get married. Why do you want to get married? You go, what can I do?
You
After,
want to do the right thing. That's why.
who wants to do the right thing?
The Torah said, "Provu, milut haaretz."
Every Yid wants to do the right thing. That's.
I understand,
The
but
summer of a Yid.
okay, but I have another piece of news for you. There are some goyim who also get married. It's happened before. It's not only people doing it because they have to, and there's nothing logical. But everyone wants to. Everyone wants to get married. That's the mitzias. It's part of human nature. It's an essential. It's an essential desire. It's an essential need. For whatever reason, they just are baked it in. You know, Alken Yazav Ishasav Vizime, the Davak Beishtai, right? It's so it's baked in.
You're saying it's instinctive.
Yeah,
It's like an instinct.
but it's essential. It's not logical.
It's an essential
So I can't talk you out of it either. I can't talk you out of the desire, and I'm going to tell you. Let's say I have a move in. I want you to know. You realize it's stupid to get married. You have your own life and your own schedule, and no one bothers you, and you take care of yourself, right? And what do you need the tzara of having to make someone else happy, and sharing your space and your belonging? It's so much simpler. Life is so much simpler. But no one's going to be convinced by that. Why?
Taking care of yourself is maybe debatable.
Meaning?
Meaning that you don't always take care.
I understand, but the point isn't about debatable. The point is it's a stupid argument because it's not a desire that's based on logic. So you can't talk a person out of it. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. There are certain essential desires. The Gemara tells us that one of the most basic human desires is to have a home. Not own a home as opposed to renting, but to have your own space, not a wife. I moved to a different. We moved away from marriage. You have to have a home. You have to have a place. If you don't have your own, let's say you're a guest by someone else, the person could be the most amazing host and everything. Everyone needs to have their own space. Can you relate to that, Satso?
I never had this problem, so I don't know.
That's an essential. It's connected to humanity. And then there's certain people who, by them, they have their own personal pnimius alevs, their own irrational, illogical, essential desires. You know, some people, I don't know, they're into music or into art, but in a way which is beyond logic. It's just an essential pulling towards it, an illogical. Illogical doesn't mean there's something wrong with it. Doesn't mean that it's anti-logic. It means it's not based in logic. It's something which is deeper than that. Now, if you go deeper into the heart of every single Yid, and you want to find what is the pnimius alev of a Yid, what is the most deepest desire of a Yid, that's connection to Hashem. It's this illogical, incredibly illogical connection to Hashem. That's like Avraham Avinu. What do we say? Ava mikalkelas as Ashura, right? Avraham Avinu, he's busy harnessing his own donkey. Why? It's not logical. So why is he doing it if it's not logical? Because Avraham Avinu's relationship with Hashem wasn't logical. It wasn't about logic. That was his pnimius alev was revealed. And when your pnimius alev is revealed, you do things that are crazy. In a good way. In a good way. Everything you said before, remember you said that Avraham Avinu was Esan Azrachi, right? That he was the ultimate Esan, the revelation of Esan. The truth is, at our core, every single one of us, we have this passion and feeling for Hashem. That's at the Esan of our neshama. The problem is, there's a foreskin. There's an arla. And when Mashiach comes, what's going to happen? That foreskin will be cut away, revealing the Esan, and then what are we going to have? Nachal Esan. We're going to have this stream that our whole being is going to be animated by the energy that comes from Esan, and our entire being is going to be attached and connected to Hashem with this incredible love of the Pnimius Alev. No, that's amazing. So when Mashiach comes, we'll all experience Nachal Esan. But how about now in Galus? Says Al Rebbe now, Begolus Hachil Hazem. In the Golos right now, this is a lashon in Nach. Golos Achil. I think it's Daniel. It means Chayil is the Chayil, the multitudes, the Golos of the multitudes of Yidden. Yes, Gamki and Eitzah Yutzon, even before Mashiach comes, there's already the Eitzah. Lahoyer Ktsas Eir Hashem bebechinas Eisan Lotech Nekudas Pnimiyas Halev. Ke'ein La'asid. We can get the light of Hashem as it comes from the Eisan of our neshama, and we can cause it to come into the core of our heart. Similar, not Mamash when Mashiach comes, but Me'ein, right? Ke'ein, similar to the way when Mashiach comes. V'hainu, and how do we do this? Hayidei Yishma Eirer Al Nitzut Salakusha Ben Amshei Bechinas Rachmim Rab Milyonim. The way we do this is by Bimno Eirer Rachmim, on the Nitzut Salakus, on the Eisan, on this godly spark, which is in our souls, in our neshamas. And now the Alter Rebbe is going to say some lines that are very powerful lines, ki be'emes, because the truth is, Kol zman she'eina adam zeicha, she'izgala eir Hashem. So long that a person is not zeicha, that the eir Hashem should be revealed, mebechinas Eisan, from the Eisan, b'nekudas pnimis lovavi. The person isn't zeicha, that Eisan should shine at the center of his heart, which will cause libatel b'yichuda yizbarach, which will cause the person to become batel to the Eibishter ma'umkat liba, from the depths of the heart. At kleis nefesh mamash, when a person experiences this, they have kleis nefesh. Literally, the neshama just wants to go out to Hashem. That as long a person who is not zeicha to this, as I be'emes yesh rachmanis gedeil ala nitzut shebenamshe. Think about it. The rachmanis that is on the nitzuts, the rachmanis that it is on the neshama. Ki anitzutz nimshach bebechinas chachma ilah mamish. This nitzutz, this spark of godliness that's within our neshama, comes from chachma ilah, Hashem's chachma. And when it can't, when this Eisan cannot illuminate into the center, the core of the heart, Shasham Makim Gilia Arazu, that's where this, that's the place where it's meant to be revealed. It's a tremendous galus. So you feel almost like Dr. Rebbe is like talking from experience. He's turning to the Chassidim and saying, guys, do you realize what's going on? It's Rachmanis. You guys are living pathetic lives. What are you into? You're into your couches and your cars and your smartphones and your dumb phones and your whatever it may be. Dr. Rebbe says, you realize what kind of Rachmanis it is on you guys? Inside you have, there's the Nitzut Zalakus. This Nitzut Zalakus, which is Eisan, that is powerful, it is strong, it is bursting with love for the Eibishter. And it's in Galus. Imagine you take Einstein and you pull him out of Princeton University and you stick him into a kindergarten for 10 years. And he has to play the blocks with the blocks, like the kids. Imagine the pain that he would be in. Imagine the Rachmanis on him. But you say, what? He's still Einstein. Yeah. But that's Einstein in captivity. That's Einstein in Golos. Golos is when you can't express yourself. Golos is when you can't express your talents, yourself, your desires. And inside every single one of us, that Eisan Shabin Neshama is in Golos. It's in Golos in our body. And here we are running around from one foolish thing to another foolish thing, from one Havli Ha'olam to another Havli Ha'olam, from one, and we're all excited about the Chveis. Okay, tonight I'm going to have
Same with as a Havas Hashem. If you have the really Havas Hashem, all Havas is nothing.
Yeah.
Same with you know.
Yeah. And instead, what's it doing? It's in a goof. It's busy running around doing all these shtusim. So what happens when you stop to think about this? When you stop to think about the Rachmanis that it is on your neshama. But today, Kal Yisrael, our eyes and our hearts are raising tefillah to the Eibishter for the hostages in Eretz Yisrael and hoping that they come back and come back alive and safe and well. And every moment that they're hostages, tremendous pain for them and for their families
Klal Yisrael.
and for Klal Yisrael. And then there's the inner hostage within every single one of us. The Esan, as long as it can't be revealed, as long as it's covered up by the Arla, it's a hostage. That's what it is. It's in Galus. What is Galus? Galus is a hostage. And if we think about it for a little, and we have Rahmanis and the Neshama, we know that our actions and feelings over here reciprocate, cause a reciprocal response from above. The Eibishter has Rachman. That's what the Rabbi says. Then we, through us having Rachman on our Neshama, we evoke Rachmim Rab Milyonim, great Rachmanis from above, and Yotzeh Magalos Vashivya, and that causes the Esan Shem Neshama to go out of the Galos and out of the captivity. And it shines in the heart. B'chines Ava Rabbazu. We get this tremendous Avas Hashem, which is from the Esan of the Neshama. Kamesh Kanoidam Mashikosav, as is known. That which the Pasuk says, the Pasuk in Yeshaya, Liyakev Asher Podas Avram. Kamesh Nizbar L'Kuti Amarim Pek Mem Hey. As the Rabbi says, as I explained, L'Kuti Amarim in Perek Mem Hey. So the Pasuk in Yeshaya says, Koi Amar Hashem Liyakev
Al tirah.
Asher Podas Avraham. So the simple understanding of the pasuk is, this is what Hashem said to Yaakov, and Hashem is the one. Hashem, the one who's speaking, is the one Asher Padas Avram, who released Avram. But if you look at the pasuk, it can also Kayamar Hashem LiYaakov Asher Pada Es Avram. That Yaakov redeems Avram. Yeah, the simple pshat is Hashem, who redeemed Avram, is telling this to Yaakov. But because there is no punctuation in the Torah, there is no periods and commas and colons, which is intentional, so now we can read it in many different ways. So you have Liyakev Asher Padas Avram. What is Liyakev Asher Padas Avram? So Kabbalah, let's explain that we know that the midah of Avram Avinu is the midah of Chesed and Ava. The midah of Yaakov is the midah of Rachmim. The Yaakov Asher Padas Avram, that means sometimes you need Yaakov in order to unlock and to redeem Avram from captivity. That when the Avas Hashem that you have from the Esan Shem Neshama, when that is in captivity, that's in prison. So you need Yaakov to come along, Rachmim, that through us feeling Rachmim, Mother Neshama, we're able to thereby release Avram, release that Ava from its state of Galus Rishivya.
Yeah, this already, no?
Yeah. You want to know where we learned this? Take a guess.
Tanya,
Where?
Rabbi, yes?
Yeah.
No.
I'll give you a hint. Take a look at the next words in the Perek. And what? Perek Mem Ches, yeah. No, Mem Hey, yeah. Yeah, it's right there. So that's really another. It might have been another place. It's also in Tanya.
What?
And it's also in Perek Lamed Beis. It's in Perek Lamed Beis, yeah. Yeah. So you have it's the last word on page 128. It's the last words over there in Tanya. And then if you turn to page 82, also the 4 lines to the end of Perek Lamed Dal, the Lamed Beis, you have it there also. Yeah. Okay. So now we know how do we reveal. So we have this Esan Shem Neshama, which will be revealed when Mashiach comes. And also now we can experience it somewhat through being Me'er Rachmim on our Neshama. When we're Me'er Rachman Neshama, that causes the Eibishter to talk at that Rachmanas, and it becomes revealed. However, the Alter Rebbe says, it is known, that if we want to have an awakening from above, we need an awakening from below. It's not enough just for me to sit and to Me'er Rachman Neshama. I need to do an action also. To the awakening of great compassion, in the hearts of Yidden who are compassionate and who are kind. When Yidden, they give to those who are beneath them, and financially, they give them gold and silver. So when we have Rahmanis on someone else, that causes the Eibush there to have Rahmanis on us. And the Rahmanis on us, in what sense? That the Eibush there allows us to experience the Eisan Sheb Neshama, that the Eisan of our Neshama should be revealed within our hearts. A story that I believe I told you more than once, but still it's a nice story. The Alter Rebbe once went to an inn. This is before he became a Rebbe. And the innkeeper, he saw the Alter Rebbe and he observed him for a little while, and he sensed that the Alter Rebbe is a Isha Maila. He's not a simple person. And the innkeeper tells the Alter Rebbe, he says, I want to ask you a question. He says, I'm a kind person. And I treat everyone who comes with a lot of respect. And if I give tzedakah, very generously. But what can I do? I feel it's not with an emes. I feel there's some ulterior motives over there. Remember this story, Tzasa?
No.
So Alter Rebbe put his head down on his hand for a little, and he picked up his head and he answered in Anigan. Alter Rebbe, when he spoke with Darchal, he spoke in Anigan with Anigan, with a tune. Alter Rebbe said, "Aber der Oni verzat mit an emes." You're worried about that it's not with an emes, but the poor person is becoming zat, is becoming satiated with an emes. And that's the emes that counts. When you're giving tzedakah, what's the emes that counts? Is that the poor person is be'emes.
That he only gets the money.
His needs are being met. Yeah. The thing is also, Rachamim, okay, so I sit and I think about the Rachmanis and my Neshama, how real is that? How fake is that? You know what the realest Rachamim is? The realest Rachamim is to give tzedakah. And that Rachamim is Me'eder, the Rachamim of Hashem. And therefore, Pu'ulas Hatzdaka, Hu Pu'ulas Nachal Esan Mamish. And now we understand the pasuk with which we started the Perek. The pasuk was Utzdaka Kenachal Esan, right? And what does that mean? So we said, what's the connection? And the answer is now we understand. Esan is Chochmah, the essence of the Neshama. Nachal Esan is we want to draw down the light from the Esan, from the essence of the Neshama, to permeate our entire heart, that we should have that feeling for Hashem. And how do we get to Nachal Esan? Through tzedakah. V'hinei mudah zeis and its own mashakasu, that which the pasuk says. Ki eir bi'ad eir. Pasuk says in Eiv, skin for skin. V'choil asher leish yitein ba'ad nafshei. That's what the pasuk says. And everything that a person has, he gives on behalf of his soul. What does that mean? Bashim shat. It means if someone's going to want to slap you in the face, what are you going to do? You pick up your hand to protect yourself. But you think, 1 second, your hand could say to your head, hey, no, I'm not getting hit. Why should my skin suffer that
Heat.
that smarting ache, right? Not my problem, your problem. No. Skin for skin, and a person does anything in order to protect their life. And here the Alter Rebbe adds in a word, Bad Nafshe Helikis, which means, what's the Alter Rebbe saying over here? And this is also something the Alter Rebbe talks about earlier on in Tanya. That when it comes to tzedakah, we know there are hagbalas on tzedakah. There are limitations how much tzedakah to give. Even halacha has limitations. You're supposed to give meiser, and then hamavazvis al yivazvis yeser mechemish. The Alter Rebbe is saying, and the Alter Rebbe is coming to Chassidim and saying, I know that what I'm asking you now in this letter for tzedakah might be a little more than that. Tell me to give anyways. Why? Because ba'ad nafshi elikis, for the sake of your neshama, la'ira be'ira chayim in seif baruch hu, to cause it to experience the light of the Eir and stuff. In other words, to experience the light of the neshama, of the Eisen Sheb neshama. Can you spend too much money on that? What won't you give to save your life? If you're sick, someone's sick, chas v'shalom, and they goes to the pharmacy and the pharmacist says, okay, it costs $200. Guy looks at the pharmacist and says, sorry, that exceeds my budget. My budget for medicine is 6% of my income, because I have everything budgeted. 4% is for vacation, and 6% is for medication, and 13% is for leisure, and 2% is for going out once a week, and I'm sorry, I've hit my budget for medication, I'll have to pass on that. There's no budget for medication. How much do you pay for medication?
Wherever it costs.
as much as you need. And if you don't have the money,
I borrow.
you borrow the money. There we go. Alter Rebbe is saying the same thing is also when you realize that tzedakah is the medication for the nefesh elokis. Your nefesh elokis is choy lasava. It's sick, and what does it want? It wants to experience, to feel that esan. Then give tzedakah, realizing that tzedakah kanachal esan, that they're giving tzedakah we're takazoicha, this nachal, the stream that comes from that comes forth from esan. That we concluded the section. At the time of another two sections on Tanya, both of them very powerful, and both of them on the topic of davening.